TradeMutt Radio, coming through on your waters. All right, here we just got let. What do we do? Get let in?
A queue.
That's it. Welcome back to TradeMutt Radio. Another guest in the studio today, which we're pumped to have. He's one of the voices on the Rush Hour with Liesl, Liam, and the big man Dobbo. He's also the host of Rural Queensland Today. And I was saying off air before, not to blow smoke up his ass, but the greatest MC that I've ever witnessed, Ben Dobbo Dobbin. Welcome to the TradeMutt Radio podcast.
Hey guys, how are we? Can I just say that was one of the rare days where you got it right. It just so happened. A lot of times with MCing, you can, if the crowd's not right, you can start something. But the one day you guys were there could have been the best day. So I'm like, I don't actually think I ever need to MC another event after you guys there.
It was on.
We were dancing and carrying on.
Lincoln Lewis took his shirt off.
I mean,
that's right.
No disrespect to the Shop Fitters Association of Australia, but I mean, they are a boring bunch. And so you had to try and do something. I mean,
they need lunches like that.
Well, they do, because a lot of them sit there and like, oh, what do you do? I'm an interior designer.
I fit out shops.
Yeah, I fit shop. I'm a shop fitter. Oh, what a shit show. Anyway, hi guys, how are you?
Mate, we're great. We're pumped to have you in. Obviously after that event, Dan and I, because obviously we hit you up like we want to go for a beer.
Yeah.
And we never fucking did it.
No.
And because you got married.
Got
pretty
married.
Much
November.
that.
So that was, I think, October. We sort of all met.
Yeah.
Obviously, I knew who you guys were because of the association with TradeMutt. TradeMutt with
obviously.
TradeMutt have been huge, and I knew the story with Triple M. Marto's been a huge fan of you guys, and mate, to be honest with you, Triple M, there's TradeMutt t-shirts just floating around. Like you know, we clean dishes with them. There's that many of them there. They're
so
everywhere.
Do we.
Yeah, they're everywhere. So I knew you guys were, but I got married second time around. So I got married. So, but I'm pleased once you reached out. I was like, I owe these guys. You know, like you were very good to me on stage that day. So like I was like, well, why not?
Thanks, mate.
Let's do this.
Well, I mean, you make it very comfortable up there. The thing is, like I said, like I'm not even sure if I even need to be part of this podcast, or if we should just like put the microphone in front of you and just say go. Just there you go, just go.
Well, we're open to anything.
Start yarning.
So today is all in. It's all in.
Yeah.
The secrets that no one knows about Ben Dobbin.
Absolutely. So there's some weird coincidences that we've obviously already touched on. Our neighbours here, Rangeland Quality Meats. You were one of the
owners.
Of Rangeland
started Rangeland. And Philip and Adele and Alistair and the late, great Lachlan and his wife Anna were, big parts, still are a massive part of my life. And it's, I mean, we're all here now, but the story for me, how I got here, I still pinch myself and go like, I mean, it's pretty simple. I'm from New South Wales. Shock horror. I'm not a Queenslander, but I do support Queensland.
Oh, do you?
I do support Queensland.
I don't rate that.
You just got to. Hey, I'll
DK.
tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Cut.
I'll tell you why. I'm going to tell you why now. And everybody, I've bred 3 Queenslanders. Sorry, Ella Daisy.
They're obviously only half.
I've paid no, they're not. If they're conceived in Queensland, you pay maintenance. I pay maintenance in Queensland to 2 women, so I've got 2 women that I have to pay maintenance to for kids that I'm not with. That gives you extra credits, right? Have I been here longer than I was in New South Wales? Yes. Was I sired? I was conceived in Noosa, so my parents had sex in Noosa and then mum foaled down, obviously, in New South Wales. So, I mean, I look at myself and say, well, mate, get stuffed. And I want to give you the biggest thing. Your first ever game of rugby league, Springshaw Mountain Men, 1999. Oh. So, if it's where your first game of rugby league's played, I'm a Queenslander. So get stuffed, yeah.
I found the loophole.
You can identify as whatever you want, to be honest. It's absolutely fine. We all know it doesn't really much matter anymore. You just choose what you want.
Where you
fine.
want. No, I'm a Queenslander. So I was born in New South Wales. My parents got divorced when I was young.
Whereabouts in New South Wales?
In Sydney. My family's from Yass in the Riverina area. Grew up. Old man was a legend. Like, honestly, was a legend. And growing up, had a normal life. Go to boarding school as an 11 or 12-year-old and to Riverview. because that's where my family had all. My dad had gone there, my grandfather had gone there. We couldn't afford it, but went there. And mate, I still remember, went to boarding school, and life is pretty normal for me. Like, you know, I had a really good life. We had a holiday out to the beach, Mooloolaba, every Christmas. We drove up. We had a mid-year holiday where Mum would, because Dad was working. Dad was never there, but we worked. He was in hardware. And mate, 14, the world changes for me. I'm the eldest. I've got a brother and a sister, Tim, who's 18 months younger, and a sister, Emma Kate, who's 3 years younger than me. Dad came to Riverview in a car and said, out of shock, I'm leaving your mum, and tried to blame Mum. But the bottom line is he was having an affair with a lady he worked with. They're now married. But at 14, you know, I think when 1991, I'm like, Jesus, you think you can handle it? You can't really deal with it.
So what are you there, grade 8 or something, grade 9?
Yeah, I'm grade 9.
Fuck, that's a pretty...
And he, but look, to his credit, he ballsed up and told us. I can still remember in the car, and Tim was in year 7, and I was in year 9, and I just went back to... He told us in the car at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We went back into study that night, and then I rang Mum on the gold phone. I still remember it, and you can always, you know, Mum was positive, but, you know, that changed an awful lot for me. Like, that was you talk about significant moments. Some people talk about death and something to it. That was a massive moment because, as the eldest, idolised my father, could do no wrong, and in a heartbeat, he was gone. And, mate, my relationship, like I spoke to him, I saw him only 3 weeks ago for the first time in 8 years. So it's since that moment was completely fractured. Like,
you said that was 1991?
1991.
That's in that period of time where, like, before that, like, no one ever got divorced.
Never.
Even if your marriage was fucked or if you were
Absolutely.
if there was infidelity or anything like that, you just stayed together.
You dug in.
Then there's that period of, like, 80s, 90s where people started to get divorced.
And now it's very common.
And now everyone's fucking divorced.
Every second kid's.
My parents are divorced, but like, but there's that time period there, and that time where it's
I was the
very
first.
rare
I was the
thing.
first. I was the first.
Yeah.
And I was the first out of all my mates. And so from then you get through school. But significant moments, like my father didn't come to my formal. He never got to see me play in the first 15. He reckons he was there when I was in the first 8 watching at the head of the river. But he chose this partner, and for whatever reason...
So he was deliberately sort of missing these things.
I look, and I honestly think, and this is, and honestly, it's really deep, and I've had heaps of counselling about it and talked it out. To leave the marriage to have an affair, you have to have a story. And the story that he made up in his mind, whatever he believes it's true, it's just not, but whatever he believed was true, he told his partner, Sandra, who's now his wife, who they've been together ever since. And so to keep that lie up, you have to behave a certain way, and that was that we were these horrible people and Mum was dreadful and all this kind of stuff. So he had to keep that lie up, and for whatever reason, they had the life. I will say it's ironic. He bankrupted Mum through the court. So Mum, we had nothing. We went from we weren't rich. We had a normal, just a normal life.
Middle class.
Middle class. It was, you know, we didn't have a lot of money, but we didn't have not a lot of money. We were just normal, you know?
Yeah.
Take away on a Friday night from a burger joint, you know, like nothing. But he bankrupted Mum. We went from having St. Vincent de Paul have to bring food parcels to our house when I'm 18 years of age. And that was hard. We couldn't afford it. I had to go and get a job. Just everything that I never ever thought was going to happen, it happened. And I don't say it's a bad thing. I think people get far worse than me. It's not a reason for the way my life has gone, but it was a significant time in my life. And it, in a lot of ways, created the shit that I went through for 20 years, but has also got me to where I am today, which is where I'm truly happy. So that happens, leave school. When you go to a GPS school, as you guys probably know, there's sort of like we had no money, but you go to school with some people who have got a heap of money.
A lot of money.
And you automatically then think that that's how life is, that, you know, like you're going to get a rails run on stuff.
You get tuck shop every day.
You think it's going to be okay. So leaving school and not having any idea what I wanted to do, no money, a mum that had a mental breakdown, was bankrupt, had never worked because women just didn't work at that stage. Like, you know, she was the homekeeper, yeah. And, mate, I had to go and sort my shit out and work out what I want to do. And, mate, I got sacked from a few jobs. I didn't. But a significant moment came for me was when I rang my best mate from boarding school, one of my best mates from boarding school, Dave Bradford, and said I'd been to the gun at RB&S, and I was dead set a city boy, but I'd been to the gun at RB. I don't know why I was there. It was on New Year's, and, mate, all these guys are getting around in this country gear, and I'm like, yeah, I want to do this. Like, I want to do this. So I rang Jeff Wagstaff. I rang Braddo. I rang Jeff Wagstaff up, and I said, mate, I'm going to the Northern Territory. And Braddo said, you've never ridden a horse. And I said, I don't care. How hard can that be? So I rang Jeff Wagstaff at Brunette Downs. He gave me a name. I got his ex-wife now, Carmel, and they got me on. And I said, I want to come. He said, have you ever ridden a horse? I said, no. He said, have you ever been on a property? I said, a couple of mates from boarding school, but I was a city warder, you know. And he's like, okay. So I went to Brunette Downs as a jackaroo with not one bit of experience. I went and got out on video the Man from Snowy River to have a look at Jim Craig to see the hat. And I went into George Street.
No, you didn't.
RM Williams at George Street and bought a cattleman. I bought a cattleman and I went up there and not a little. I get to Brunette. It was a 3-day drive. Braddo came with me. In the end, Braddo's from Malali. Still one of my greatest mates. I was best man at his wedding. He's just been every significant. We went to boarding school, and he's as wild as a bag of feral cats. And he's a country bloke and done very successful. He drove his ute. We went there together. He said, "I'm going to come with you." And I showed him my hat. I said, "I got this real hat." And like he has this big woomera. Like at this stage, mate, I'm straight out of Sydney with a cattleman. I get there, and like everybody's looking at me, going, "Yeah, nice hat, mate." And I'm like, I always thought it was good, but it was like that poxy. It was like they knew, mate.
You would have.
It was like a beacon.
Yeah.
City cowboy, no fucking idea at all. Know. So, and it was true, mate. It was. But that first year was the most significant year for me. Because the first 3 weeks I was still that very much a GPS boy, and they didn't bash it out of me. They worked it out of me, and I cried myself to sleep in a swag. And then I got a work ethic that has now stayed with me, and I ended up being the hardest motherfucker in the whole place. It actually, I knew I had it in me, but it was just that.
How long are you up there for,
mate? I ended up doing 2 seasons, right there, and then. So it's all about opportunity. I know you guys, but I'm just giving you a little brief.
Yeah.
So Brunette races, it's a week-long piss-up. So they have the Brunette
massive.
Cup. Yeah, massive.
I'm the first person to ever get a lifetime ban from
really?
Brunette races.
Well, I've had my incidents there as well, big time. But it's how I became an auctioneer.
How do they know you the first?
Like George, my cousin, told me he's been there fucking. He's like, he's like, no one's ever been handed this down before.
Mate, greatest week of your life. So Ben Fordham is obviously, you know, the Alan Jones now and Ninja Warrior and that. We went to school together before he became Ben Fordham.
Yeah, fuck Ninja Warrior.
He's my greatest friend. I had dinner with him on last week when I'm in Sydney. I just love his family. He says to me, if you last 6 months, I'm coming to visit you. This is when, so anyway, first year, 6 months, Brunette races, Ben Fordham, up he comes. Like he goes, mate. And it was debauchery. Like he couldn't get over it. He just couldn't get over it. Because back then, mate, it was a caged off area where you were, like, it was just.
It is wild.
You cannot explain it.
It's the last frontier.
It is, mate. There's like, mate, the animal libs and all that, mate, they would be just, there is a lot going on up there that probably isn't recorded. Like, it's not great.
To paint the picture for people that don't understand, it's basically. Because of the territory, it's such vast areas and there's huge properties and there's fuck all people for landmass. The Brunette races are like the annual event that everyone goes to.
Huge.
And it's so big that they built. So like, you know, like Splendor and all that shit where you camp. Well, there's actual built camp. So like the Lake Nash camp, there's like.
They've got their own dongers
gas hot
and
water systems. There's fucking massive big fireplaces. It's this huge shed. It's like incredible, right?
Where the fuck in the territory is it?
So you know when we went to the Barclay Homestead,
turn right,
fuel up, you go
take a right,
turn right and go 180 k's up there, and past Corella Creek, and straight up there, and then you come to Brunette.
It is wild, and so people like there's
it's
draft
fucking
races.
right in there. It's fairly well in the
So there's people. So it's just like all these stock camps that all come together. And then it's just fucking is just on. It is just out of control.
So fast forward Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday afternoon, my first Brunette races. I'm walking in there with Ben Fordham, and I can hear an auctioneer. And at the time, I thought this bloke was the greatest auctioneer of all time. He ended up being hopeless. But, mate, your first ever auctioneer. And he's selling a ute load of dog biscuits. And I said to Fordo, and this is probably my whole life, I can do that. He goes, bullshit. I said, I can. He goes, I dare you to go and ask old mate. And so I went up to old mate, and I said, mate, can I have a go at auctioneering? This is at the brunette races. I'm 21, 20. Like goes, yeah, okay. I was fucking dreadful, like so bad. But I just was like, and I said, mate, how do you do it? He goes, mate, last mob of cattle come in every day. You start adding up numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll just learn. So, mate, I wrote a letter after that. I'm like, I want to become a stock and station agent. I want to do it. So I wrote a letter to Primac Elders. They're in Brisbane, to Primac Elders. My name's Ben Dobbin. I'm a jackaroo at Brunette Downs, and I'd love to work for Primac Elders. Jeff Wagstaff obviously had some connections. They did all their bull buying through Elders. So he had some guy called David Farley and John Robbins. They were two guys. End of the season, they say, you meet us in Brisbane Airport. We want to meet you. So this is December 17. I meet them in the Ansett Lounge because Ansett was still very much a big thing back then. And they gave me a start at Springshaw on January the 11th as a stock and station agent for Primac Elders, and so I was like, okay, I'm on my way. So
far out, yeah, okay.
Get to Springshaw, first night, meet a guy called Don Tucker, met a girl, she was a good type. Anyway, that was my first night. I was 22, and I started being a stock and station agent. I literally, within 2 years, was Australian Queensland Young Auctioneer of the Year, had won it all, and had job offers from everybody in the agency world, and that's where I left Primac Elders to start at GDL at Media, which is Grant Daniel Long.
Yep.
Go to Meandarra to start that. Met my first wife, Patrice. She was I met her at the John Pope Memorial Wiener Sale at Nowra. She was a finance girl there, and I met her, and then I met her at the Ekka, and we fell in love and got married, and we started our life. She's from Condamine. We started our life and so that was it. You know?
I don't know why I'm so interested in this, because this has really got nothing to fucking do with anything. But your story about the hat rocking up, with the new hat, looking just like an idiot. What the fuck did Ben Fordham look like at 21 going to the brunette races for a week? Because he would have.
Have you got a photo of him?
He would have looked like.
I've got a photo
was he wearing
of him.
A suit?
Mate, no. He was. I've got a photo of us all, me, Braddo, and Fordo. I might even get it for you. I don't even know, but I've got a photo that somebody sent us of me, Braddo, and Fordo standing there. And Fordo was, mate, he had the hair back and the round tortoiseshell circle glasses, and we're all standing there with these big 10-gallon hats there, and Bay Apache Justin Cuban heel boots and smoking rollies, and he's just there like going. But he loved it, mate. He has always. The one thing about him is he's embraced life, mate.
He seems like he just fit in anywhere.
Anywhere, mate. And all my mates, so like my greatest friends are from those days and boarding school. And when I went there, I warned him when he got to there. I said, mate, and he's like, mate, I'm going to be who I am. And they all love him. They still talk about him now. Like they all still talk about Fordo. And when we have these brunette reunions, he always comes and is like, hey, and mate, he spent a week there. He spent a week of his life there. Like, but they all love him.
20 years ago.
He fits in, mate. He fits in wherever. He's so adaptable. So meet my wife, have a couple of kids.
How old are you by this stage?
Mate, I'm early, just about 30. Okay. So 2005, William was born, and Ava was born in 2008. But 2006, I had a brain bleed playing rugby union for the Cods. It was another watershed moment, and I nearly lost my life.
And a fucking stroke.
Yeah, it was a stroke. Yeah,
what happened?
Mate, I can't remember a lot. We were playing Roma. Cods is a great rugby club.
Who are the Cods?
Condamine Cods. Walking off the field, I can't really remember it. That night, I get home. My wife drives me home. She says I got up and said, I was trying to say I want a hug, but she says I was saying I want to kill you, and trying to hug her and then getting frustrated myself. And then my face dropped on one side, called the hospital, Royal Flying Doctors, mate, 2 weeks in St Vincent's in Toowoomba, and it changed my life. It it dead set was another watershed moment because something wasn't right, and I got massively depressed. I went from always carrying a bit of weight, 110, to within 2 years or 3 years, 160 kilos, and didn't even know it, mate. Just drank piss, ate food, never exercised.
Because the agent game is hard
mate,
for that.
You're in the car, you're driving, you go to the hot box, the Bay Marie at Chinchilla, mate, the best crumb sausage, best lasagna toppers I've ever eaten. Just not
with clients, like you do a deal, whatever, you drink
piss. That was the thing. And people say, Dob, how did you get so big? Well, 1 year you put on, if you got them at 10 kilos, the next year you put on another 10 kilos. Next year you put on another, you're 30 kilos down, mate. And you're in trouble. You're in trouble. 3 years, 30 kilos. It can happen, mate. And, it just happens. So we were broke. We were so broke. We had middle of drought. I bought a farm. I was in a family business with Patrice's family. And I said to her, I've got this idea that we go and buy some meat off Kilcoy and we truck it to Sydney and I'm going to try and sell it. So I bought a pallet of cube rolls for $19 a kilo and sold them for $32 a kilo and literally flogged plastic bags from Franklin Shopping Centre at North Sydney, got an FPOS machine. We called it Deloa Premium Meats. My name's Dobbin. Patrice's name was Loader, so Deloa, that's how we got it. And I sold and made $6,000 in 1 day selling meat, just black market, mate. No butcher shop, straight out of the back of a truck. Mate, I went to Channel 9, mate, everybody, you want a cube roll? Yep. And we did a DVD, how to cook it, cut it and cook it, mate, and we did everybody. So then we started, mate, and I was like, mate, 2008, 2009, $6,000 in a day profit. It's still a lot of money, but back then it was like, holy hell. Like we were working, I think I was on $60,000 a year car and a phone back then working with GDL. I was a shareholder, but middle of a rip roaring drought, never gone on a holiday, mate, we were making that. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start selling meat. I told Philip and Adele Hughes from Rangeland, they were clients at Delacca Downs, they owned Bankery at Claremont, they were clients of mine. They're like, oh, well, we've got these visions of doing it. And so that's how Rangeland started off the back of that. I think it could have been the beginning of the end of my relationship because my wife never wanted to go into business with anybody else. And that was a huge factor. So we start Rangeland. All's going well. I hope I'm not boring you because we'll get to the good part.
Shit, no.
We get flooded in 2011. Everybody knows the big floods in 2011.
Yep.
Fordham, significant part of my life, goes, Channel 9 are doing the flood appeal. You can go anywhere you want. And he goes, well, I'm going to Condamine because my best mate's at Condamine and my two godkids. He's a godfather of William and Ava. So we'd been on the piss all day. We are outside the Condamine Hotel and the National Flood Appeal. Carl Stefanovic, the host, Layla McKinnon, they're at the Piazza in Brisbane. They come live to Ben Fordham. And Ben Fordham goes, well, you wouldn't believe it. This is the home of my best mate, Ben Dobbin, and here he is. And I'm standing next to him. I didn't even know. So I grabbed the microphone full of cans and looked down the barrel of the camera and start, mate, Melbourne, you need to chip in. And mate, they went berserko. Like it was just a iconic moment. So Gary Burns was the executive producer of that flood appeal. He says to Ben Fordham, you better bring that bloke back with you. I want to have a chat with him. So I fly to Sydney.
You probably thought it was a G-up.
I thought, mate, I'm 150, 60 kilos and full of cans and I've just spoken on a national flood appeal, mate. The ego's running wild. Now some bloke wants to talk to me. They made me the Queensland Footy Show host. The Footy Show needed somebody.
Right.
Off the back of that, they gave me the gig for the Footy Show. And I was still doing Rangeland, and that was a small window. I said, right, okay. So I knocked on Triple M's door at the end of that year and said, why can't you give me a go? So they said, yeah, righto, we give you a go. I knocked on it, went and saw Richard Barker. I get Dead Set Legends in 2012 with Ben Eichen. It's 3 hours. They give me $250 a week, but I'm still doing Rangeland, so that's my main priority. But, mate, I started becoming this affable meat salesman who knew a little bit about sport, and why not? Why couldn't I belong here? And it just
ballooned.
It ballooned. That's dead set how I got in. It's dead set how I got in, and we won the league rights. Same story as running the show as an auctioneer. Same thing as running as an agent. As everything I've done, I've just sink or swim.
Yeah.
We won the league rights in 2013. Rex Morris says to me, you ever caught a game of rugby league? I'm like, yeah, all my life. I hadn't called a single game of rugby league ever, but I called the Titans versus the Broncos on April 13, 2013, and that was the first ever game of rugby league I ever called. I had Wendell Saylor, Gordon Tallis as and I was fucking shit house, like so bad. Like I thought I was a rock star, but I was so bad. And it was like, and I'm just like, you know what? Why not back myself? I backed myself, and you know, and I was away, mate. I was away.
Yeah, it's seriously impressive because I mean, it's a whirlwind going from a GDL stock and station agent at Condamine. What was the transition from doing that into like that footy show gig? Like, was it a couple of days, weeks?
Yeah, but literally 3 weeks. 3 weeks. But the problem is,
they were the good days of the footy show too.
They were the good days, mate.
Proper.
Fatty, Big Man,
Chief.
You know, Chief, Sterlo, Bo Ryan, you know, DJ Yeller, you know.
Yeah,
like
that's when he was on.
Mate, he was on then. He was
Doggies,
actually great. Yeah, doggies, you know, like he's actually a ripper
bloke. Who was
bloke.
Matty Johns' mate who used to come on and be the flight
James.
attendant?
James.
No, Steve, Jason Stevens?
Yeah, well, he was there, but James Rochford, who's now the professor, who on Money Show, he was Bo Ryan's comedian. He's the guy that wrote all the Bo Ryan, DJ Yeller. And so Bo Ryan he was funny, but it was James Rochford who's since gone on, and the professor who's had so much success. So he was the one that got Bo, and he was just an EP, an executive producer. It's a funny story. Shane Gaunt was my EP for the first ever time. He came to Condamine from the first ever footy show cross. They came to Condamine, did the thing on my farm. I was on 100% footy on Monday night with Phil Gould and Gal and talking footy and you wouldn't believe it. Gawney comes in and says, he's the EP of Wide World of Sports. He said, I thought I'd better come down and say good day. And so we were like, he goes, mate, you're a long way from Condamine. I'm like, fucking, who would have thought, mate? You know, like who would have thought? But it's funny. No one at Condamine thought I could do it. And I'm sure you guys have had these moments in your life. I used to think to myself out there, is this it for me? Like, you know, some people are happy. They're born in Condamine. My ex-wife, she's back there now. She's happy. There's nothing wrong with it, but they don't want for more. They're happy with that.
Yeah, but do you reckon that is, though?
Well,
or do you reckon they just don't say it?
Well, I don't know, but I don't know. For me, I look at her father, great man. Kids love him. He was born in Condamine on Canimbla. His parents left it to him. He's never left it. He loves it. He hasn't grown. He just does the same thing day in, day out, and he's happy. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But for me, what a waste.
Yeah.
What a waste.
Agreed.
And that's where I'm at. Like I still remember standing in Miles one day going, Is this it for me? Is this my life? Am I going to do the next 40 years in Miles as a stock and station agent in Condamine, raise my kids? And I just wanted, I don't know why, but it was just never enough. So when I got that gap, mate, it was like,
let's go.
Well, how life's about opportunities. You only get these gaps. So, and Patrice, it dead set broke us. Like, I mean, in the end, I did the wrong thing. You know, I had an emotional affair with a girl. We'd had some real difficulties, like never cheated, but we were just so disengaged. She wanted to be back at Condamine. I'm down here in a life, and insecurity at that time can cause all sorts of stuff, you know, and it just wasn't right.
Were you still carrying the weight then?
Yeah, carrying the weight, overweight. So called it 15, 16. Hardest thing. I blame myself a lot. My kids are at boarding school now, and I blame myself a lot because I think didn't I fight hard enough for it when it broke down? But we just weren't right. I look at it now and go, how the hell were we ever married? We created 2 kids together, and clearly we were in love for a long period of time, and we had a good time. But I do think to myself, Jesus, I was so insecure about my father and what I didn't have. The first girl I met, she had the family, she had everything that I was looking for, and I wonder whether or not, rather than me just being comfortable feeling that way and learning about myself, I attached her, which is the wrong thing. And in some ways, it changed both our lives because, I'm not going to blame somebody for that. But I do think, maybe
Yeah.
It's also hard when if you've got a little fire burning inside where you think like, fuck, because I know what you're talking about, that feeling of like, well, is this it? Or like, is there more out there? Like, surely I was put on this earth for more, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get that fire burning in you and you're starting to like,
and if your partner's not that way,
you're going to like
and that's,
grow apart.
We are so apart. Like, we were so apart. Like, even raising our kids, like, I want to give them everything. I want to travel the world. I'd never been overseas till 2 years ago.
Really?
Never.
Yeah, right.
And I always dreamed of going. She's got no desire. No desire. She had no desire to travel. And I don't want to make it about her because she's a phenomenal mother. And we don't get on, but she's a phenomenal, phenomenal mother. And in the end, you just got to look at how your kids turn out to say that she's done a unbelievable job. Career going well, personal life crap.
Yep.
That's 15. 16, I met a girl called Kylie Gibb, who I just went, and you wouldn't believe it. She falls pregnant. She's 42. She falls pregnant. You can't script this. I'm just out of a divorce. I'm a year and a half out of a divorce. I've got a 4-year-old daughter I've got a 4-year-old daughter now, Ella Daisy, who I just went and saw, who is my world. But Kylie and I aren't together. That's probably the most embarrassed I've ever been, that I've got 3 kids to 2 women and I'm not with them, like 3 children. But Kylie and I, she's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human being and the best mother I know. And as hard as it was for her and I, how it went down, she has put Ella and my relationship as a priority. Like, we just went before I came here, I've just been at Keat Street Holland Swim School watching Ella swim, and I sat next to Grub. I call her Grub. Everybody calls her Grubber. And we talked, and like, she's talking about a school reunion at Lewis Hill. She is a phenomenal, phenomenal human. And it's weird because she's become one of my best friends. We've got a kid together, but we're not one bit like, and I feel like it's bad. We're attached to each other. I don't know. I mean, people can say it's a train wreck. I mean, I get embarrassed about talking about it. I normally would never talk about it. I found myself for a long time only saying I had 2 kids because I didn't want to have to explain, oh, no, I've actually got 3. But then I went and saw somebody and they're like, mate, please, just fess up. I'll probably have more kids, But so I've got 3 children. Ella Daisy's 4 in October, William's 17, Ava's 14,
And how do you manage all that personally? Because you've got a shitload going on.
Yeah.
You've got a fucking lot going on.
Well, William and Ava are at boarding school at Ippy Grammar and Ippy Girls, so I see them a fair bit, and I just try and make sure that in my time, I give Ella, like I was at Ella swimming today, I'll go and see her tomorrow. You don't just spend, like, these dads are going and spend every single moment with kids. Like, growing up, I'm sure you guys, your dads are going to work. They're working. They're there. You see them. Sometimes you don't see them, but if you can still feel love. Like, I text my Will Dobbin and Ava. Like, I text him every day. Like, look at this. I put a photo of myself and Phil Gould up, and he said, He said, brothers. I said, well, he's your uncle, and he said, true. And, he was into me. So our relationship is like mates, and it's the same with Ava. Ava's 14. She's a bit hard to handle, but I just said, I love you. This is on Friday. I love you. I hope you have a great holiday and hope you like the presents. I'm so proud of your dad. And she said, I'm just a communicator. So I actually try to I'm not with them every day, but they know I love them, and they know that I'm there. And I don't think they need, like... And
is that from your father being a bit
never
absent
being there. And that's... And Am, my wife, she actually... I'm married. So the whole thing... I'm actually married. We haven't got any kids. We'd love some kids, but I'm married. But the Am goes, she can't get over what I do. But I go, it's defined me about my dad not being present. I'm at every netball game. I text, I FaceTime every day. I probably overcompensate.
Yep.
I probably overcompensate it.
Yep.
I mean, I hope this is not boring you.
That's not a bad thing to overcompensate.
You're definitely not boring us.
I'm interested. I really want to know about when your marriage was falling apart with Patrice, or when you guys were growing apart and your career's taking off in the media. Like, how do you, when you got that on one hand, you're dealing with that at home, but then you just got to switch into the other mode, you know what I mean, and be a public figure. Like, how do you, you know what I mean? Like,
it's a performance. Okay, so this is the defining moment for me, is that Channel 9 had given me the opportunity to call the women's test match on TV. Matt Callender, the late, great Matt Callender. And I was supposed to be at Pony Club with my kids that day. And I was still with Patrice. And Patrice told me in the car that I was a failure as a father because I wasn't doing the Pony Club. Now, you got to understand, though, her father, he was on the farm that he owned, and he never missed a single thing. So it's what you know. It's all you know. So she grew up, her dad was at every single thing, every single time. So that is her normal to her. For me, well, my story, my old man was never there. It didn't matter. So I'm thinking my career, the more successful I get, the more money I can get, the more I can provide for my family because I'm about providing, creating something. We didn't have a lot. She's like, and that's the juggle. And that's when I knew we were, but then you're having to go through it all. And you have to switch on, like your red light goes on. You have to perform like a seal. Like, no one gives a crap whether or not you're fair. Like,
What, home life.
No one cares. You guys get the same. When you have to go and do a thing.
Mate, 100%.
We've all got shit going on. Every day, all of us. It's not all. And yet no one cares. They actually don't care. It's only us that care. So, I mean, as we speak, my wife's just rung me because my father-in-law has COVID and he's in hospital. And I just turned the phone over and gives it. I'm worried about him. I'm worried. I love Vern, but no one else gives. We've all got shit going on. It's just having to separate it, and that's the hardest. I mean, how many people have we seen that never get over stuff and they wear it like an open wound? I went and did a lot of counselling. I'm not going to lie. People can call me weak and say it's, but I actually big on mental.
Mate,
health.
those times are changing.
Mate,
They've changed.
yeah.
I genuinely believe that if you it's probably a weakness if you're not going and doing it if you need it. You know,
I have become so more evolved from it. I've got to be honest with you. I'm a hard ass, and my tone's wrong, and I bounce. But people take me the wrong way, and I'm in a lot of ways. People misunderstand me, but I'm naturally an insecure person. And I'm always trying to fight with that inside.
I think everyone is. Yeah. I think everyone actually is, whether they're prepared to own it or not. Yeah.
So I've gone and done so much work on being comfortable
with who you are.
With who I am.
Yeah. Going counselling and stuff now is like, people who still go into the bank instead of using the app on their phone. Internet banking. It's like, mate, what? Like, times are changing.
You've just got to do it, mate.
It's safe. It's good. It's fucking
Hold on, you're saying counselling is like not doing counselling. It's like going to the gym.
It's like now it's just like you just do it. It's fucking good.
For me, if I hadn't have done it, I don't think I'd be where I am today. I had to go and...
What, in the fucking TradeMutt fucking radio?
No, but I'm pleased I can talk about this. I actually want to be able to talk about it because there's people that just, it's that easy to get your shit together. I had no money. I got screwed in my divorce and I ended up marrying my divorce lawyer. This is the ironic thing of how blissfully happy I am. I have married my divorce lawyer.
Well, she'll fucking take you for everything if you guys bust up.
The first bloke
there'd definitely be a prenup in that one.
There's no prenup. She goes, you know why? She goes, mate, you've got nothing for me to take. I got divorced. It got ugly. First lawyer, I lost my marbles. I lost it. I drove from the Gold Coast down to Brisbane and tried to get him out of his office to fight him. That's how much I lost it because we were $100,000 in. And we hadn't got a result. And, mate, 2 lawyers in a town of millionaires, 1 lawyer in a town on his own goes broke. So they just wrote letters to each other. And, mate, the pawns were Patrice and I. Mate, horrific. Horrific. I'm at Triple M. The phone rings. Trent Quinn, Sportsbet. Hey, Quinny. He said, what's wrong? He just picked up on me. He said, what's wrong? I said, mate, I am in a bad place. He said, mate, look, I know you don't like dealing with your business in Ipswich, but there's a lawyer out there. She's just moved back. She was the top family lawyer in Brisbane. Her marriage broke down. She's moved back there. She started practice. I said, yeah, what's her name? Amity Anderson. She said, she's my sister-in-law. I'm going to text her. You text her. That was the beginning. Amity's my wife. So I go and see her. Mate, this girl walks in, and I'm like, holy hell. Holy hell. Obviously nothing happened. I said, what's your story? She was very honest, very kind. Anyway, Kylie and I didn't work out. Everything, it just didn't work out. COVID, mate. COVID, mate. ISO, and look where we are today. I married my divorce lawyer, and she thinks it's ironic. I mean, she would never. I mean,
has she been married before?
Yeah, she's been married before. She's the greatest person I've ever met. She knows me better than anybody. I love my mum, but Am knows me better than anybody. I mean, as blokes, we don't need gifts. You know, you talk about love languages. We don't need gifts. Just
hang on a second.
Hang on.
I'm a gift man.
You're not.
Yeah,
well,
but
I like giving them. I like giving them, but I don't need to receive them.
No, I like getting them. I don't like giving them. Mate, anything
mate,
Seinfeld
you are
or
complex.
South,
you are
anything
complex.
Seinfeld folded towels or South related. That's all I want.
I've never met a bloke
Mate,
that wants gifts. I've never ever met a bloke ever, and I'm big on love languages and all
Mate,
this.
I shower him.
Oh
Shower
my
him
God.
constantly.
That's a gift. He gifted me that.
Mate, I just want to be. It's words of affirmation for me. Tell me you're proud of me, and that you're proud of what I do. Words of mate, and I'll go to war for you. Like Am's like, so mate, she gets it. She just tells me, mate, I'm proud of you. I mean, you don't need it as a bloke. I don't need. What do I need? I got everything. Like I don't need. I mean, I'd like a Vespa. I mean, that's what I do. I want a Vespa to drive around Ipswich. So I don't have to get my car out, but that's the only thing I want. And I'm looking on Marketplace at the moment. Facebook Marketplace, mate. There's many a bloke like me who've had this brainwave. I'm going to get a Vespa, like. Yeah.
Concreters in the city fucking got heaps of them. Yeah. They all ride. I don't have to pay for them.
I've got this Indian shop around at Brassel I go to, and I don't like driving there because the parking shit. Last night I'm there, I said, CM, I had a Vespa. I could just whip in here like Uber Eats, grab it and go.
But you'll end up moonlighting as a delivery driver too.
100%.
You'll be like, here we go.
Yeah, it'll give me some content for my radio show. But anyway, she's a good girl. She was my divorce lawyer. She's a good girl. We'd love to have a child. She's never been a mum before. Insecurity about being 46 and having kids? Fuck yeah. But, I said to my mum the other day, Mum goes, you know what? When you're old and you have kids, they're going to be around with you longer as you get older. And I'm like, that's not a bad way. She said, when you're 70, you're still going to have kids around you instead of them, leaving the nest. And I don't mind that. Am's 39. She lost a mum this year, which is pretty tragic. So, I mean, we've had some tough challenges. I mean, all the stories we got kicked off Hamilton Island on our honeymoon. There's a bit more. There's a bit of GST on that. I mean, but she's a good girl.
So you've been married. You're
twice.
Twice married. But obviously,
have Ella Daisy to grub to Kylie Gibb. Yeah. And she's a good chick. I do want to say, and they'll get stirred up, but all the mothers of my children are good mums. Mm. And so, for whatever reason, I might be the difficult one. So Patrice might be who she is because of a product of how I've been towards her. So there's no judgment there. Yeah. But she's a bloody good mum. But Kylie is genuinely one of my best mates. And we've had some humdingers, but we've just made a commitment that our priority is Ella, and everything else is insignificant. Yeah. I'd love her to meet a good bloke. I say to her, mate, I'd love her to meet a real good bloke. She's a bit jaded, obviously, but about what's going on, but I always think it'd be awesome. But
it's great that you talk about it because the dynamics of relationships now in 2022 are not what they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and even further than that.
Yeah.
It's just dynamics are way, way, way different, and this is an example of like a modern,
Yeah, we get on so well. Like I go there for dinner, mate. I talk to her every day. I FaceTime Ella every morning and night, and so it's Kylie's phone. Ella's 4, so. She has to be open to that, and it just works. It just works.
That's awesome.
I want to circle back to you, and you were saying off air before, like you got up to like 160 kilo, right? And like you were saying, it was just the work being a stock and station agent. You just pile it on. Your routine is very different. Some days you're driving a long way to a client or a sale or whatever. When was the realization that you were like, right, fuck, I've got to start losing a bit of weight here? Was it that
Brisbane?
Okay,
because in the bush, you're very similar. Like smoking out there, I loved the cigarette. I got to be honest, for a long time. I loved them, and everybody smokes out there. Everybody drinks rum and coke. There's no judgment out there about what you look like. But I came to Brisbane, and it's just a fact. Everybody's healthy and fit, and I think maybe there's more opportunities. There's no gyms out there. Like my good mates out there at the moment, they go. But I came to Brisbane and I was with Ike and I was working that, and I got so insecure about not being able to buy clothes. I know that sounds ridiculous, but having to go to a big man's outfitting store to buy a shirt, it's like, really? I just want to be able to go to David Jones and mate, have you got a coat? Yeah, it fits you. Bang. you know, I know that's so. Like the health thing, I didn't actually give a crap about. It was all how I looked. It was all about my image and how I felt about myself. I just wanted to wear nice clothes. I just wanted to be able to feel good about myself. And I don't know, like I just, you know, and it was a hard road back. I started training.
Because at 100, fuck, it would hurt, like it would just hurt to start getting back into it, right?
You don't realise,
Oh, fuck.
You don't realise. I didn't realise how heavy I was. I never thought I was that heavy.
It's amazing how your body adapts to the weight. You know what I mean? Your joints, your whole thing. When you say you didn't sort of realise when you're just, but the whole body adapts.
If you were like, righto, strap fucking 60 kilos with dumbbells onto your shoulders and fucking walk around for the rest of the day.
They used to do that on The Biggest Loser. Remember that? Did you ever see that? When they put the weight they've lost and they'd make them carry the weight back up the hill, like go into a mountain, like a hike with it on there?
It's hard to comprehend because my godfather, he's lost a fucking heap of weight too. And it was something like, he's lost 40 kilos. I was like, imagine carrying around 2 20-kilo lick blocks all day. You'd be fucking rooted.
I still can't look at myself in the mirror. I know that sounds weird. Like because I've got a lot of skin still. I got man boobs that, and it doesn't matter how much weights, and I still get a bit insecure about that. But I mean, Jesus, I'm a 46. Like fuck, I'm just trying to do my best. I got a hot wife. She wants to sleep with me. I mean, so she must find me attractive, I think, you know. But I mean, you know, she's just taken one for the team doing a wifely thing, what she thinks. But I mean, in the end,
one for the team. What team?
Team Dobbin. But I'm just like, you know, like, yeah.
I think that, it's a poignant conversation because it's like Men's Health Week or month at the moment.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's such a big thing, and I'm not going to lie. In the end, I ended up getting bypass surgery. When I got to 120, I just couldn't shake it. I wanted to get to 100. Best thing I ever did, I went and saw a guy called Ian Martin. Tim Horan, actually, he's a great mate, used to be his neighbour. Ian Martin's a gastrologist or whatever they call him, like a surgeon. He's like, mate, you do this, you'll eat smaller meals, but, you know, it'll just help. And, mate.
Huge difference.
I mean, is it classified as plastic surgery or, you know, like cosmetics? Yep. It's a bit like playing golf. I've got graphite irons, and women use it. But mate, I hit the ball better than I've ever hit them in graphite. Does it make my golf more enjoyable?
Which tees are you playing?
Yeah. I'm playing. I'm playing up the yellows, mate. It's all right. I'm still playing up the yellows, but it's like.
It's out making.
Who gives a shit? Who actually cares?
And it's very important because there's no one size fits all, right? For everything, you know what I mean? And it's like, the whole thing is like whatever works.
But I would tell
works for you.
So I had a blocked artery this year. So I
read about that as well.
Yeah,
88%.
88% blockage of my major artery.
Lucky number.
So I'm walking with a group of blokes called the Walrus Club out of Ipswich. We walk 3 mornings a week. Mate, for 6 weeks.
What did you call it? The Walrus?
They're called the Walruses, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So isn't it funny? I got my 3rd booster shot in December. Then I started to get a few chest pains when I was running, and I'm like, oh no, it's the vaccine. And my anti-vaxxer mates are saying, see, you know, you might have and I'm like, so I'm starting to believe, oh shit, myocarditis, I've had the 3rd shot, and it's like, no. It's you abused your body for 30 years and you have a blocked artery. Every time you run, it just puts pressure on your chest. Mate, one day, February the 2nd, I'm literally think there's a truck on my chest. I come home, I say to Am, I'm not feeling great. Am says, buck up, stop dogging it, go to work. I'm like, I think I need to go to a GP. I'll go to the GP. They put me into hospital. Guess what? I'm showing you the photo. 88% blockage of major artery. I had a stent put in, mate.
Fuck,
life changer.
So you?
That's on February the 6th this year.
Feb 6. Okay. I was looking at. I'm googling that right now. What day did Warnie die? Because that was the 4th of March.
Mate, that is what's shaken me up more because exactly what Warnie had. There was a bloke. One of the George boys passed away here last year. Same sort of thing. You do not know you've got it. If I hadn't have gone and had a angiogram, I would not have known that I even had this issue.
What do they do? What's an angiogram?
That's when they put dye through your body. They put a stent in there. They come up. Yeah. They used to put it through your groin, and then you've got. I'm trying to show you the artery. I've got the photo of it, but mate, you're awake for the whole time. And now I've got all my mates going and doing it. All my mates are now going and getting all this done,
mate.
And what are they? What sort of results are they saying? Like,
there's a couple have had stents put in. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, I'm big on it, mate. I'm like, you know what?
It's so funny. I don't know if I told you about this the other day when
You getting kickbacks for stent sales?
Well, I think I should be.
commish when I caught up with the boy Noonan and that in Toowoomba the other day, they were talking about how they're sort of now mates.
Tony Noonan?
No, Tom Cranny. Yeah. Cranny's from Gundy, and anyway, he was talking about how the group of mates are a little bit older than him that he sort of hangs out with. They're all now talking about all this health shit, like they can't eat white bread anymore. They can't like mudge around all this shit that they're
not supposed to. Yeah,
you know what I mean? They're like he's like, it feels so weird because I'm at that hanging out with these people age wise now that are talking about what they can and can't fucking eat, which you just would never. I'll give you guys you never think about.
I'll give you guys a go. That's the major artery just there, and that's the blockage where that white.
You can see it literally looks like someone's pinching it.
Yeah, and then that's it with the stent put in there. So it's the full.
So it's a bit of plastic, is it?
Yeah, it's a plastic thing that goes into it and just opens it up. So
cool.
Yeah, so that's
modern fucking medicine.
Yeah, and that was done. And I was awake the whole time they did it. I mean, seriously. Yeah,
that's wild.
Wild.
Yeah.
Because I could imagine now I've got so much to get. Like I've got so much more. I don't even really got started. You know, like I know that sounds like I'm like fuck. Imagine if I just got married. You know, like I've got a 4-year-old. I've got a 7-year-old. I've got a legacy. I want to be able to.
So what do they say? You've had a stent put in now in your main artery. Like, was that just? Has that got a lifespan on it? That thing?
No,
it's good to go.
Yeah, it's good to go.
PVC.
But if you've got one artery, if you've got one artery blocked,
you may get another.
There's going to be stuff, so you've got to watch things. But you remember with your parents how they have their little pill box, and they've got like I've got a pill box now. I got 5 pills a morning.
With the days on
every
day
day's on it. Yeah, I've got a 14-day pill box.
14
days.
Double decker.
So I've got 2, and I've got 5 pills in it. Then I've got my multivitamins and everything. So I literally have now 7 pills a day, and it's becoming habit now. You have to eat with them. You have to take an aspirin every day, a blood thinner, blood. Yeah. It's all self-induced. This has been caused by, people can say, oh, geez, you're lucky. Yeah, I'm lucky, but I'm unlucky because I could have prevented this. Some people just get it. Some people just drop dead. They don't even know. They're healthy as healthy. They're just.
Yeah, it just happens.
Would you change your 20s though? Like you're like 20 to 30. Would you change those years knowing what you know now? Like and change your habits? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny because you don't want to have regrets.
No.
I wouldn't be here today doing what I'm doing if I didn't have, like, being a stock and station agent taught me about relationships and how to build relationships. People are on their knees, they've got no money, and you want to sell their cattle for them. And when you do that, they can do that themselves, and they're going to do that and pay you a commission. So you have to sell. So it's about relationships and trust. This is the game I'm in now. Yeah, I could talk, but it's about trust. It's about building relationships with people and them trusting you for information, you not breaking that, and you build. It's just no different. So that was a good grounding. But my health and my relationships and everything like that, I think I wish I'd seen a counsellor more. I wish coming out, me going to the territory in some ways was running away from the problems I never faced about my father. I wish the only thing I wish is I'd done the work on myself as a 22-year-old. I don't know if I was open to it, but I wish I'd gone and seen someone about it and just to try and clear some of that energy about why me.
Bit of clarity.
My father, he may have still loved me. I don't even know, but you know what? For whatever reason, that was him. It's nothing on me. It's not me that caused it. It's just his shit, that he hasn't dealt with.
How did you find that counselling experience?
I love it, mate. I still go now,
yeah,
mate.
Yeah.
Literally, and I'm probably getting in all sorts of trouble for sharing this shit. Hopefully it's not number 1 rating, this podcast that gets picked up. But I'll read you what I wrote to my wife on and a text message on Monday. I was in Sydney. This is dead set. What time's this? Monday, 9:58 a.m. I'm sorry for being insecure at times for no reason. Can you just forget everything I was talking about yesterday? It just comes in waves. I'm trying to work on it. So, I mean, I still literally at days have a time when I'm not the best form.
You're a good communicator though.
Yeah, but mate, I try to communicate, and it's because Am's a divorce lawyer, so they have to communicate every day. So when they get home, I'm wanting to talk about feeling like she's the bloke in the relationship. I'm the girl. Like I'm the one that cries in movies. She loves Rambo, and she doesn't really need to get all mushy and talk. Whereas I want to unpack every emotion, and this is from counselling, I want to talk about, well, why would you not post anything about me on Instagram? She's like, because I live with you and I don't need to share my life with everybody. I'm like, yeah, but it's a bit of validation. It's a bit of validation for me. And she's like, mate, I tell you every day I love you. I'm here every day. But, you know, the insecure, and, you know, when you break it down, mate, who gives a shit about social media? But, you know, that's where I go, like, I'm looking for a bit of validation, and that's more on me.
Is she still charging you in 6-minute increments?
Yeah. $4.85 an hour.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, mate. I say, how do you sleep at night? She says, very easily. Yeah, I'm like, I bet you do. No, look, I mean, she's probably got me to not be so emotional and not sweat the small stuff. Like, if anything, that's what she's done for me is like, mate, you actually can trust. You're allowed to be happy and supportive about work. Like, never had it before. Abundance. Hey, mate, you get one opportunity, you take that. I support you. It doesn't matter if you have to travel. I'm here. You know, that security and that's what you worry about. That there's not going to be that, like, because your dad left you. That person's not going to be here, but she's been awesome like that.
I think a big, like, sort of key takeaway that I've got so far from hearing your story, Dobbo, is basically, you know, there's no real there's opportunities if you go and look for them, right?
100%.
So, you know, there's probably a lot of people out there that look at your journey and like, fuck, he got it lucky. But
not one bit.
But you put yourself there. You know what I mean? Like, you wanted it, and at that live today cross thing, you could have said, "Oh no, I'm not interested."
It doesn't even matter about that. I was literally thinking about this morning because there's a bloke who sort of thinks that, because mate, and I'm going to lie, mate, have a phenomenal life now, from a salary perspective, everything. Like, I'm really doing well. But I was on $250 a week doing Dead Set Legends. We won the rights to the rugby league at Triple M. I started turning up to training on my own. I never got paid a cent for 4 years. I used to go and break stories, build relationships to get a better understanding. Then break. Everything you do, you have to do extra. Nothing I've got
to do overs.
Yeah, mate, you have to do overs. Yes, did I get an opportunity? Was it luck that Ben Fordham was there, that I knew it? But that relationship was when we were kids. We were always going to have that relationship. But was it luck that it flooded? Planets aligned. But then you take what you want to do. You work hard. Now, I could have just sat back and said no, but I, you know.
Well, you got on a Triple M, you were saying. Like, you reached out to them.
I rang them. I went and saw them. I went and saw Richard Barker and said, you're missing an important component on your radio station. That happens to be me.
Mate, I'm shit hot right now.
You're looking at
mate, I'm the footy show. I'm 160 kilos. I've never been on radio, but you need me. Mate, they said, we'll give you a go.
How did the Condamine community, you were saying before no one thought you could do it.
Well, I just think that very much you're either a farmer or you're an agent, and an agent is on the food chain below a grazier. And I was only ever an agent. So shock horror that I wanted to be something more, because we looked at these people in the media and thinking, and I never been to uni. Didn't do anything. And everybody saw me as an overweight loudmouth that drank rum and cola cans and played football and was just a local in the district. Like, being honest, never achieved. They didn't know my background. They didn't know anything. So when somebody goes and does something, it's such a tall pop. The bush is up. The bush is, mate. The bush is such a big place for knocking people. Like, mate, no one, mate. Anybody does anything that's not on what my dad did or my grandfather did or anything like that, mate. They're dinosaurs, like, you know. And so for me to say, hey, I'm going chasing this, but guess what? I proved them wrong.
It's a complicated setup, that, isn't it? Like, because I've come to
the rural.
Well, my God,
I'm from Sydney. Like, I'm a city kid from Sydney. Longreach, Central West Queensland, muddled sort of a Queenslander type scenario. Not sure, but anyway.
Let's not revisit
But yeah, and that's what I've seen as well. Like, in Sydney, you don't know your neighbours really. Like, you kind of do.
I genuinely think that the comparison of people is fucking 10 times worse in rural Australia than it is in cities.
100%.
Fucking horrifically
But it seems
bad.
everyone knows each other and everyone's talking about each other, and everyone, the thing is that has been the biggest
Everybody
thing for me to
does
comprehend.
that. There's judgment. There is so much judgment in the bush. It's not narrow-mindedness. It's just they don't know. And I'm not being rude, and I'm not being rude to that. My mum at 55 went and became a kinesiologist and did a psychology degree. She's a kinesiologist in Sydney.
What's kinesiology?
So energy. She taps for energy, and your body is a being. So she And, mate, she's got the most famous people in the world go and see her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yet you try and talk to my kids, my older kids who are just dead set bushies, like they are dead set, like you know, I did that story on the heart issue, like, right? And I did it on Channel 9 to raise awareness. Middle-aged blokes. My son, Parrot, from his family, I don't think you should be sharing that kind of information. Like, there's some family stuff you just don't share. Well, where's that coming from, Will? No, that's just my opinion. It's come from kind of mine. It's just, you know, it's just the mindset. You know, you never show you're hurting. You never share. You keep things private. We just do our own thing. We'll judge others. Do you know what I mean? It's just a rural way. I'm generalising here because there's so many good people here. There's so many good people in the bush. And my best friends are there. But there's still that mindset at times like, hey, and that was it, mate. No one thought I could do it. But guess who did know I could do it? Me. And I didn't give a shit. But there's been some bark on the way.
Did you want to be in the media?
No.
Like, did you ever have
I want to be a farmer. I used to dream about being a farmer and being a hot wife. And isn't it funny? Moments in your life. I used to go to the football from boarding school, and we used to go to Belmore Oval, the hill, Brookvale over the hill, and I used to take a set of binoculars and I used to look up, and Peter Peters and Greg Hartley used to be the call. Hollywood and Zorba used to be and so I used to go up and I used to look from the hill to their commentary box and not watch the game, just watch them commentary. I just loved it. I loved the radio. And then fast forward, I called my first game at Brookvale, and I actually rang my father and I said, you might not remember this, but you took me to the football many years ago, and now I'm standing in that same box that I used to look at. It was a Friday night. Broncos got towed up as well by Manly that night. Jesse Senna-Lafayette was the name that I had to learn, and I couldn't pronounce it right. I still remember it. He had to write it out phonetically because I didn't know how to say Jesse Senna-Lafayette, but he tore the shit out of Brisbane that night. I still remember. But it's funny. I didn't really think. We used to listen to Stan Zamanek and look at Talkback Radio. I love Talkback Radio, but I never thought, hey, I'm going to be on radio. Just happened. I want to be a farmer.
Do you get him? Have you ever felt imposter syndrome for where you are? Yeah.
All the time. Yeah, all the time. I still go and introduce myself to people and think. Monday night was a prime example. I'm on the panel for 100% footy. And I'm sitting next to Phil Gould and Paul Gallen. And
is that down in Sydney?
In Sydney, yeah. So I had to do. So I host Sin Bin for Triple M now, and I'm there. And I'm so nervous because I'm sitting next to Phil Gould, and I saw Phil Gould coach Canterbury in 1988 to a premiership. I've got Scanlon's sticker book with Phil Gould in it in 1985 playing, for Canterbury. Like, and like who he is. I'm like, oh, Phil, Ben Dobbo. He goes, I know who you are. And I'm like, okay. And like, he actually said, I follow you on Twitter. And I'm like,
bullshit.
I swear on my life.
Gus is on Twitter.
Yeah, he's on Twitter. And I'm like, he said, I follow you on Twitter. I'm like, okay. But I mean, like I get that imposter syndrome because I actually don't know what, it's weird. Like, you guys can get it. Everybody knows you.
Oh,
like,
no.
And you people would come up to you and go, oh, God. And you'd be like, how the freaking hell do they know that?
We get it all the time.
And we go, like, what are we doing here? Like, I'm sitting on a panel. I'm like, even do this. You're talking to me about my podcast. I'm like,
so in my head, you're like, do you know how much of a dickhead I am?
Yeah.
Like, do you know how?
This morning I got up and I caused all this drama, and I'm having a blue with my missus because I put a jumper in a laundry that has spun and put shit. Yeah, our life. I'm the same, very much so.
How's Gal? I tell you, look at Gal.
Good guy.
Yeah, mate. Fuck, I love watching him box.
Yeah.
I just think he is such a beast.
He's actually the most misunderstood bloke you could ever get. He's a really decent human being. And I
love Gal.
Financially responsible. He's a provider for his family.
Oh,
I reckon he's made more money in boxing than
he would have easily.
He loves it. He loves a property development, Gal. He loves.
Does he?
He loves townhouses, mate. He's just absolutely loves
subdividing.
Loves building townhouses, mate.
Interior decorating.
Well, I don't know. I don't think he's. I think he might have to pay someone with that. He more just gets it done. No, he's a good guy. That's good. Mate, all of them are all got insecurity. They're all pretty normal once you break them all down.
That's what I was saying before about Darius the other week.
But Darius is the same. Darius is Darius. Bloke's just a normal guy.
Everyday bloke.
Yeah.
How have you found, because I've said to Dan plenty of times, like my dream sort of, not like job, but like just do it for the love of it, would be to call fucking rugby league. Like, it would just be epic, right? But, and doing stuff in the media and like, getting behind the sheds and be like, fuck, find out what's going on. How have you found
It comes with danger, right?
Yeah, because you're obviously a sports fanatic, right? You love sport, and you love like Broncos that you.
I mean, it's funny, like I love rugby league, but they won't. But I suppose I now. Yeah, I want them to win because I love Kevy because we've got a really good relationship, and Ben Icon's one of my best mates. So I suppose like that's.
So how do you find it being like
so
I've
so hard
because you're mates, but you're also I've got to tell the truth here, and I've got to find the angle, and I've got to report.
This is the hardest thing to do
because you got relationships.
So calling rugby league. Don't lose that dream. Anybody can call rugby league. You could do it. So I'll say that now. I mean that genuinely. I help anybody because I got helped. Anybody who wants to learn, you can do it. It's not that hard. I mean that it's just using your mind, and once you get it right, it's a set program. Anybody can do it. Breaking news and stories, you've got to be fearless, and you've got to not be insecure, which doesn't bode well for me. It's relationships. So it's the stuff you don't report on that gets you where you are. I have to let a lot go because of my relationships, because of trust. Like tonight, and this is not going to go to air today. I take it.
No.
So
probably tomorrow. Yeah.
So tonight, Adam Reynolds is out of the Cowboys game. Okay, with still broken ribs. So I'm going to report on that tonight. Now I rang Kevin Walters at 7:56 this morning.
You have to blur that number out if it was on screen there.
Had a 5-minute conversation with him.
Yeah.
I said, mate, I'm hearing Renault's done. He said, yeah, he won't play. I said, I'm going to run that. He said, yeah, you can run it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll run that tonight.
Bit of give and take.
Give and take.
Have you fucked up?
Yeah.
Badly?
Heaps.
Yeah.
And you hurt because, Darius and I don't talk. Darius and I don't talk because of a fuck up. And it wasn't my fault, but it was my fault. Darius and his wife Kayla, obviously very well documented story. Channel 9 wanted a story on Kayla. I did it. It was a phenomenal yarn. It was about how the shit that they've been through as a relationship, how they worked on their relationship, got it back on track, and how strong they were. It was a phenomenal yarn. And if it was told like that, it would have been brilliant. They're losing the ratings. They cut the story. They cut a bit when Kayla was crying about just how her kids put the tears where she was talking about how he had the affair, made out like that, ran it on a Thursday night. It was Darius's 250th. I work for Channel 9, so the story's me. I voiced it, right? I voiced the story, but I never cut the pictures or anything like that. But I don't care. I'm in the wrong here, not anybody else because my name's to it. But it fractured. Darius and I spoke on Christmas Day. He texted me on Christmas Day, said, I know that you're on your own. First one divorced. He was a captain of the Broncos. Happy, meant a lot. And within 6 months. And now, and so I have fucked up. That's
have you tried to reconcile?
Fuck yeah. Yeah, I've even spoken to Wayne about it recently. Wayne's really close to him. It's not going to.
That sucks because, you don't, how do you, when you're in
it's
the media,
my fault,
you're
mate.
working.
It's my fault.
Well,
I wasn't good enough. I didn't edit it, but my name's to it. And I voiced it. I rang and apologised. Mate, I was. And look, if the story, it's always the way. The story was actually really good, and Kayla was really happy with it, but the Courier Mail picked it up and just focused on one thing, and it's never about the story, then it's about the headline that goes with it, and then about the fallout on social media and reading the comments, and it fractured. It put some strain on their relationship, and to be honest with you, Darius trusted me in that moment, and even though I didn't control it and I would never have done it like that, my name's to it, and he sees me as the reason that went to air, and so I have to live by that. That's honest. That's the honest.
And it's probably the big downside of the gig, right?
Mate,
big downside of the gig.
That's the other side of the media that you don't even see. You don't really get to find out.
And the abuse that when you, okay. I put a car into a swimming pool at 21 years of age with a stripper in the back seat, right? She was naked as well. I'm not going into it. But
you can't throw that out there.
Yes, you can.
Watch me.
But what would happen if a 21-year-old rugby league player did the same thing?
Mate, that the Goey thing.
Yeah,
fuck.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So
Come on. That's not fucking news.
Here is...
He was just out there having to goey.
Mate, my wife saw that. She's like, we've got to pull this video up. What's this video? So I'm like looking on Google, whatever, blah, blah. I found it. We watched it. I was like, what's the issue? I'm like, fucked if I know. I don't know where the issue is here. But it's like,
I just think that we put a lot... we're to blame, but there's an appetite from the general public for it. The appetite comes for... I mean... I talked to Peter Bedell and he said, mate, if I had to write, if he gets more subscriptions, him writing about that brick wall, because people want to know about it, that's what they write to. They write
what
people want. Yeah. They don't and it's salacious and it's a soap opera and it's so wrong where we've got to. But
that's the business.
The business is, it's an act, it's a performance every day,
You got to find it, and you got to continue to find it, because if you don't, they'll find someone else that will.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's full on.
It's full on. Yeah, it must be. Yeah, because that's what I've always thought about.
People just love it. People just eat it up. Look, the whole life is a fucking drama.
It's
just a drama that people.
If you haven't got it in your own, you want it. And look what you look for. What's what Twitter's about? That, and you guys probably don't get it, but that's probably the hardest thing is the social media, the crap that you get on social media. Like people don't know me. And mate, I talk to anybody, and I'm a good person. I'm genuinely a good person. Like I know I can be, but mate, some of the stuff that people write about me, like I just don't read it anymore. Like I literally, I can't do it.
What about the thing that you'd know about it? It's fucking. What about Ray Hadley teeing off on you a couple of years ago? That bloke is the reason. Oh man.
So I'll tell you how that story, mate. I'll tell you that story quickly, and I know Hadley. Triple M Mardo rings me 5:30 in the morning. He says, mate, can you give us something, right? And I go, yeah, easy. 5:30 in the morning, I said, mate, Tino's not going to win the grand final. The Titans aren't going to make the 8. So if you want to win
this year?
Yeah, last year. If you want to win State of Origin, you knock out Tommy Trbojevic in the first shot. Take one for the team. You'll do 8 weeks, but the Titans aren't going to win. Like, fuck, who cares?
Nothing.
Nothing. Mate, I'm driving my kid to the opening a bounce at Carindale, Ella Daisy. I never get any dates. It just so happens the stars align. My mum's up. It's a Friday, and I've got Ella Daisy, and we're going to the opening of Kids Bounce. And I'm so excited because I get to do something with them. Yeah. Rothfield rings. Dobbo, we've got a drama, mate. We've got a drama. I'm like, oh, my God. Okay, what's happened, Buzz?
Ray's gone nuts at 9 o'clock on you.
I'm like, I don't know what this is about. Then Volandis rings me. Then Andrew Abdo rings me. And, mate, this is all off that Ray's decided to fucking tee off on me so I rang 2GB.
Because does Fordo work for them? No.
Yeah, Fordo does the morning show. I rang Fordo. Fordo goes, what's all this about? Hadley's just gone feral at you. So I text Ray. I said to Ray straight away, I said, mate, happy to come on your show, right? Right? There was nothing intended by it. I'm going to try and read. I reckon I've still got the text. Okay.
That fucking impression.
Yeah.
Fucking Buzz Rothfield.
Yeah. Oh, mate. I'm Buzz.
Oh, my.
So anyway, I haven't got it. But, I mean, I'll try and find it. But Hadley just absolutely went feral.
He did. And what did he? Oh, it was something about, I don't know who you are or whatever, but fuck, it was bad. Like the way he said it. Yeah. But But again, that's what sells. He knows that's what sells, right? The ability of just fucking throwing it out there.
He actually took to me. He took to me about and just insulted me.
Oh, it was horrific.
So I actually tried to come back on his show, and he replied to me and blocked me because that's what you do. You block blokes. So he blocked me. And mate,
so I set up 3 fake accounts and still
no. I wouldn't. But I was upset. I was pretty rattled by it because. It's just a joke.
And how do you?
And you're a relationship guy as well.
Yeah,
and like we're talking about with Darius.
Yeah, and I had Ray and I had little bits, of chat, and mate, I idolised him a little bit, but mate, he just found, and Ray, that's what he rules by, mate. He looks for that cracker, and mate, it was just my turn. Yep. It was just my turn that day. I don't think it was anything personal, but. At the time, I was like, oh, I'm talking to Mum, and I couldn't enjoy. And the biggest problem was I couldn't enjoy the day with Ella. It just played on my mind that whole time.
But also, it's out of your fucking control. Yeah, that's the most annoying part.
To Buzz's credit, he never wrote the yarn. He was going to write what Ray are. Like I love it, mate. I love it.
does.
God.
Fucking hell, that'll do me.
The thing is, everyone's attention spans are so short as well. Like, you just need
News
something
cycle
new,
moves on, mate,
constantly
every day.
bang, bang.
And that's what I always say to people now. Like, when all that shit went down with Qualia and us allegedly getting booted off Qualia on our honeymoon, which just wasn't true.
Oh, did you G it up?
Yeah, well, mate, I didn't even say it. So what happened was, we'll open this on quickly. I'm at Qualia, always want to start Qualia. It's our honeymoon. It's $2,000 a night. It's excessive.
Yeah.
But, mate, I'm in love. Let's do it. I work my ass off. Let's have 4 nights there. Am's mum, terminally ill. She has to have an operation. We book flights to leave early to go home because she's having this massive operation. Am walks out of the day spa. Her idol is Amal Clooney. I never even heard of Amal Clooney. There she is, right? There she is. So Am stalks her, gets a photo of her. Channel 9 said, have you seen anybody? I said, yeah, I saw Amal Clooney here. Well, next thing you know, exclusive on Hamilton Island, there's a photo of a lady in a golf cart from about 1,000 miles away, and it's Amal Clooney. That was our photo. So next morning, we're leaving. Old mate comes and sees us and says, mate, we've had a massive privacy breach. And I just said, mate, where in the hell does it say you can't take a photo of somebody here? And he's like, mate, you can't do that. And I said, well, you're turfing us off the island. He said, well, I said, well, we're going anyway. What we were going for was we were going back.
Yeah, but you just...
So for the sake of a bit of radio, I'll say we did that. Suffice to say, we left the island that afternoon.
Yep.
I forgot to put in there that we were going back because Am's mum's terminally ill and having an operation. Be it what it is. It was just a bit of fun. Well, next thing you know, I'm throwing off, and next thing I'm banned for life. Qualia actually reached out. We're going to go back there. But I said to Amity at the time, because she made the front page of the Courier Mail, and this lady, my wife,
Oh, really?
just does not want to, is the most understated. She is just not that person. She's like, I'm on the front page online. I said, well, whatever you do, just it's okay. Just don't read the comments. Because she goes, what do you mean? Anyway, I come home that night. She's rocking her corner. Oh, they call me a feral and a bogan. Mate, they don't know me. I'm like, I told you, don't read the comments. You just don't read comments. You just, why are you? But that was it. And then a friend is saying, have you read the comments? And then a brother, love Dax, one of my best mates, brother. Dax can't help himself. He's defending us with these people on that. I'm like, Dax, I love you, mate. Just let it be. Let it be, so. Yeah, anyway.
Well,
so who is Amal Clooney?
Yeah, well, she's a world-famous lawyer, George's wife. I didn't know her either.
She's a big brunette.
Mate,
what was she doing there on her own?
No, he was there. Julia was there, and they were all there at the same time, what are the chances at Qualia? Good joint. Good joint.
I've heard it's a good
my God, it's a good joint. Yeah, excessive, but good.
Well, we'll have to hit Qualia up and see if they can bloody give
good
us a little,
joint.
give away.
Mate, why not? It's only $2,000 a night. You want to go there with your missus, you get the pool, you just stay in your villa naked. It's a good thing. Am didn't, but I was. I just got nude the whole time.
Real reason he got kicked off.
Scary people.
Oh, we've had a major privacy breach. Fucking huge. Oh, Dobbo, mate, thanks so much for your time.
Pleasure.
It's been great. I know I'm sort of winding up, Derek. Are you
No,
satisfied?
I'm good. I just, as I said, like you've just, you're
Love
a great
TradeMutt.
Mate, yeah, thanks so much for support.
Happy.
Really appreciate it.
Good. Anytime.
I think you touched on some really great stuff as well, to be honest. As I mentioned, like being mental, I don't know if it's Mental Health Week or month. But
No. Last week was Men's Health Week, and it's Men's Health Month, Awareness Month. Yeah, that's
the
right.
irony is that we don't follow any of these things.
Me
We do it
neither.
every day, so it's like, fuck,
But
whatever.
if you were going to plug it and, talk
My
about
story
all
is
the
very
health stuff,
real. I've had the ups and the downs. It's there. And so I'm no
The
different.
counselling component's a big part as well. I think
Huge.
that's pretty
Massive.
Like,
I still
think
go,
you're probably
mate.
ahead of your time, I would say.
Still
to
go.
be honest.
Love it. I still love it. Joe, legend. You're a good man, Joe. He knows everything, mate. I unpack everything.
Well, it just so happens.
I even talked to him about, why wouldn't my wife post a photo of me on social media? He's like, fucking really? You're 46. Seriously, you need that validation? I'm like, yes. She's got 60 followers, mate. Does anybody really give a fuck?
It is very interesting how they just reframe shit for you. You're like,
okay.
whoa.
Oh,
You're like, fuck.
yeah.
Oh, over there. I understand that now.
Next thing I'm apologising to my wife for being such a cockhead,
That's great, mate.
Anyway.
Great. Thanks again for your time, mate. It was
Cool,
awesome.
guys. Good
on
and
you, Dobbo.
we're definitely going to go have that beer at some stage.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Thanks,
Good on
Dobbo.
you.
Thanks,
Cheers,
mate.
Is that all right?
Fucking great. Really good. Thank you very much.
If I stop, I'll die.